Welcome to another episode of Behind the Catch Fence. I'm your host, David Hoffman. The Daytona 500 is fast approaching, which means NASCAR season will be in full effect here soon. To help get ready for the Great American Race, 2002 Daytona 500 winner Ward Burton joins us. Ward, how you doing today?
Doing well, David. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. I had to have you on. Obviously, you got Daytona, and yeah, you won it back in '02. And let's go back to your first sort of experience with Daytona, whether it was watching on TV or competing in it. What are your earliest memories of that race?
Man, my dad took me and my two brothers, Brian and Jeff, to Daytona probably around 1974. Somewhere in that area, I don't even know if I was a teenager yet. It was in the early 70s. And it was interesting. We were seated off of turn four. And we had the catch fence right there, and there'd be one guard that would walk like between this area, and he was watching, like, I don't know, let's say 100 yards of the fence to keep people away from the fence. And I kept sneaking up when he left to get my head right up to the fence to be as close as I could to the cars when they come up against the wall off of turn four. And he finally reprimanded me so many times that Dad started watching me, not letting me do it anymore. But that was my first memory of Daytona.
I feel like a lot of people, especially in a big event like that, you're going to go up to the fence and get that full effect because that's as fast as those cars
Yeah,
go, and I'm sure that
yeah,
was a thrill.
yep. And looking back on it, not very smart, not very safe, but I would probably do it again. But exactly what you said. You're trying to get the sensation of the speed, and with the sound and the air moving so fast that you could really experience just how fast those cars are going.
It's something you never forget for sure. And yeah, even before you won the 500 in '02, it seemed like with when you were with Bill Davis racing, it seemed like you guys had a pretty good super speedway setup those past couple races before, leading up to '02. During that time, what do you feel you guys sort of kind of struck on that kind of helped keep you up front and kind of helped you know that you're going to have a good car at the end?
Well, Bill did do a good job and had good people to build speedway cars. At first we really struggled at times to make the race, but the car had downforce in it and raced well. So that was kind of our forte. And then probably around, man, that's probably around 98, 99, when Tommy came on board, Baldwin started getting more aggressive with setups and the body arrow underneath the car, as well as the part of the shell you could see. And we started getting some raw speed. So yeah, leading up to the day that we were able to win the race, we let's see, we finished. Well, we had the fastest car the day that Senior died in '01. We had a car that was going to make it was going to make a difference of who won that race. Uh, Gordon Robbie took me out, and then consequently about 17 out in backstretch. But that was just showing we really had raw speed. We came back in July and finished fourth, and I think we qualified second. I think Sterling was on the pole and we were second. And then the next race in '02, we really did not have the raw speed, but the crew got the car better and better and better as the race went. And then we were in the right place at the right time. The car was handling, we had some speed. So we did, I've had a few people say, well, you lucked into it. Well, hell, if you went in those races, you got to have some luck. But you are correct, David, that the Bill Davis organization was providing some fast cars, and we had end results to show that.
And like you kind of mentioned, it built over the first those the last couple of races leading up to the 500 there in '02, and and then in '02 you kind of were able to sit back and watch there. Obviously Gordon getting turned by Sterling Marlin, and then obviously under red flag Sterling gets out of his car, yanks on the fender, he gets set to the rear. I mean, you're right behind him during that red flag, just. What's going on in your mind seeing him hop out of the car? Or are you like, hey, don't do that, or what? What's your thought process with that?
Well, man, let's back up for a minute. So, as I said, you got to have some luck, right?
Right.
Well, we were in the big wreck in '01. My whole mindset as a driver, and I really was in perfect harmony in that car that day of waiting for the big one, and can I have the opportunity to miss it? When the when Harvick blocked Gordon going into one, I was right behind Gordon. And literally, I mean, you can watch the replay. I turned the wheel just enough not to spin out, and we went by my nose went by Harvick's car like that. And I came on the radio and I said, man, we just created the opportunity for us, because that was the most pivotal moment of that day. When Sterling got out of the car, if you really watch the video closely, he was smoking so bad on the right front where he had made contact when Gordon blocked him that tire was going to blow. He had no choice to come in. So when he got out, I really didn't know what he was doing. And at the angle that I was looking at, his seat posts were blocking a little bit of my view. The main thing is Tommy came on board and said they're black flagging the 40 car. So the main thing to me, that means it's I got a shot here. So what I was thinking, and as I look back on it, one, is it legal? Because it's not a normal thing for somebody to get out of the car on a caution or a red flag. And two, I need to do everything I can here in this moment, because not every moment that you get to win a great American race.
And typically, you ended up restarting, I think it was 3 laps to go or something like that. Typically, you'd be a sitting duck, especially leading and everything, and guys behind you getting a draft and that sort of thing. Just how are you able to hold on? Obviously, you had Sadler behind you, also Virginia native, and how were you able to hold off those guys in those final 3 laps? Because I'm sure that was a pretty long 3 laps.
Man, it still goes back to the car, the machine, um, some luck. I feel like we were better at Daytona. Daytona was always a handling track, a little bit more than Talladega. But people didn't have a chance whether to work with you or not. They couldn't just decide, well, I'm going to take another route. Whereas at Talladega, with not being one of the top teams, a lot of times people wouldn't follow me when I had opportunity to do better. But at Daytona, you don't really give people that amount of option. So when when Elliott got under Jeff Bodine in the middle of 1 and 2, and he caught me going into 3, he didn't have enough momentum to try to make a pass on the outside. That kind of set the stage for me and Elliott, and we had always worked well together too. Elliott's a hell of a good race car driver, but it broke up behind us also. So they were too wide. They were shuffling back and forth. So a run never materialized where I really had to play a defensive mode. So I was fortunate in that, the way it all worked out, we just stayed in line right there.
It seemed like no one could really even get to your rear bumper at that point. And I guess that kind of goes back to, Bill Davis racing everyone there and just being able to build that car and build it to that point where, you can almost be unchallenged when you have that clean air.
Well, again, we didn't have the raw speed that the '01 car had, either one of them. But we got the car and got the balance of the car better and better and better. So at that moment in that race, and it was proof of that when we passed Ryan Newman for third coming off a two before that second to last restart. So my car was good and it did have speed. So yeah, I mean, Elledge that was building the motors, I could keep naming all the guys on the team. Everybody had really worked hard. We had a good bunch of guys that respected each other, and we all gave it 100%. So, man, it was a special moment. Thought we'd have won more. That really didn't have another opportunity to. So we had a chance to win a couple of those races, and we're lucky to win one of them.
After crossing the finish line there to officially etch your name into the history books at Daytona, I mean, what are the first emotions? Obviously, going from the kid up in the stands trying to get as close to the catch fence as possible to being a Daytona 500 winner.
Man, it puts it all together with your family, friends that used to work on race cars for nothing, to all the car owners, all the sacrifice, all the hard work. It's hard to put it in measurable words, but it's what life's supposed to be all about, and the rewards come from sacrifices and giving it you all. I had a lot of other things drawing my attention, particularly my foundation was already up and running. It was 5 years, 6 years old at that time. So I had a lot of responsibility on me, but there was nothing more important than that team and that car. And so all of us, look, when all of us work hard for something and you give it your all, that's when you want people to have high achievements. Should I have had more? Absolutely. I created that issue by being loyal and not looking after my own career and making that a priority. But that was just the decisions I made. There's no reason to look back on it. But again, man, I was giving everything that I had from the bottom of my soul to try to be successful to that team.
And the cool thing I remember Victory Lane, you end up crowd surfing into your crew. Have you ever done something like that before, or is that just kind of spur of the moment
Man,
type
it
of
just
thing?
kind of happened, because when you're in the middle of that kind of moment, all the attention is on you, but it really shouldn't be. The attention is the whole group of us. Dodge was there, the whole Bill Davis team was there. The sponsor, Caterpillar, and a lot of those guests were there. Some of the safety crew on the backstretch, I stopped and high-fived them when I made an extra lap. I just needed an extra lap to get my composure together. So there was a lot of people there that cared a lot about, and a lot of people there that made it all happen. I just happened to be lucky enough to sit behind the wheel.
And you always hear how after winning a race like Daytona or the Indy 500 or whatever big crown jewel race it may be, that it kind of changes their life or changes their just that how people look at them or that sort of thing. Just what do you feel? How do you feel winning the 500 has changed your life in whatever way it may be?
So, man, again, you know, I had to stop racing in my prime. I'm not gonna go into all the whys and whatever, and I'm not gonna say that I wasn't partly responsible for all that. there was a bunch of opportunities that I probably should have taken that I could have won more races. I was fortunate enough to win two of the biggest ones, the Southern 500 and the Daytona 500. Those two uh, were great races for us, but again, I could have won a lot more than that. So at the time going through it, um, it's special, but you're wanting more, man. You're wanting more, and I didn't really much have the opportunity to get more when technology was in engineering was really finding the sport. We were losing our way. We did not have the engineering support that we needed. We couldn't really, it took a while. And looking back on it, I can remember Tommy called me one time when he went to work for Everham and he said, "Man, I owe you an apology." He said, "I thought it was you," but he said, "Now I realize we didn't have a third of what we needed to be fast." So I can't see air. I don't know if the rear spoiler's up in the air, why that makes the right front push. All I can do is give the information. So the whole sport has changed a lot when it comes to why a car is fast or why it's not. And the drivers are doing well. They're lucky to be sitting in really good engineered and good financially supported teams. Whereas back when we were racing, it was still a lot of grassroots, man. It was not as much engineering support, which consequently allowed teams that didn't have the financial support like Bill Davis Racing to still do well. So we ran with the big dogs a lot. And Bill was really good at finding good people and people staying there. So it was just a combination of things of how we were successful. But man, the time that passes, I was thinking about it, I don't know, the other morning when I was trying to get over COVID. When you think about all of the things that's happened to some of the folks that we competed with, the cars were dangerous back then. I mean, we were losing a lot of people. So when you look back and reflect on it, it was a golden, wonderful time to be in the sport with a lot of colorful characters. And it was wonderful that engineering had not found it yet. And most of the people that had made it to race, to drive a car or work at a car, had a hell of a work ethic and they earned it. And money didn't get them there. Their talent got them there. That's really the big difference of today.
And it's so true because I was still very young at the time when during that time frame, but just it did feel pure, and that's the one thing. Even looking back, it felt pure. It felt like the correct, I guess, the correct drivers, the correct people were all in place, and there was more of that parity and that it's the good old boys type of feel where these hardworking people were all put together to create a race team and like you guys, despite having maybe a couple disadvantages here and there, you were able to still knock off a couple really big wins, and and that's the cool thing to be able to look back on.
Man, I mean, there was a couple of years that we were definitely overachieving. And it was because we had some great leadership and we had some great people. It's interesting, if you look at like a couple. I know Harry Gant's a carpenter. I'm not a carpenter, but I work construction. So I worked construction, and then I raced. And then next thing, as the years went by and opportunities happened, I wasn't working construction, I was racing. Many other drivers did the same thing. Or some of them were just really good mechanics and had been brought up building motors or working on automobiles. And next thing you know, they were able to show their talent driving cars or working on cars. So it was a different world, but hey, one thing that's not changed is hard work pays off. And I think sometimes, particularly in motorsports, the ones that get to drive these cars, or a lot of times they're so young, they've never gone through the experiences of having to work to pay rent, pay your automobile loan and your insurance, just these basic things that my whole generation went through. And so when you got to that opportunity, man, you appreciate the hell out of it. All of a sudden you're able to race for a living. I mean, that's that's who would have ever thought that opportunity would be real? I never did. So I mean, we're just very fortunate. And hell, look, I feel like I should have had and had the talent to have a lot more success, but I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to do what I did also. And without a lot of help, particularly from my parents, I would have never had that opportunity. So we all got to have people that help us at something, particularly in motorsport.
Yeah, those words couldn't ring more true. Final question for me. You looking back, obviously it's been a little bit since that win at the 500. Just what do you still feel like you look back on and kind of look back with a lot of gratitude?
Man, I owe the sport a lot. Um, the sport gave me a voice for conservation that is my life passion. So at the end of the day, I would have not had that platform or the resources to make a difference for our natural resources had it not been for being in the sport. So at the end of the day, I will always be internally grateful for that. Did the sport actually, it was a platform that was available. Did NASCAR do anything to help me get there? Absolutely not. So, there's a bunch of things going on with the sport now that needs to be corrected. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I got all the answers, but there are things that's going on in these series now that the sanctioning body could do things to make it better, and they need to. So hopefully there's some changes coming to make it better. And life has never been fair, but to make it a little bit more fair and make it a hell of a lot more affordable than it is, so that the racing package, which is the entertainment package, is better. Instead of it being driven by who's got the most money. So I can be critical, and I will be, because the sport needs some overhauling. But I will always be internally grateful that I had the opportunity, because it's given me something to work every day on and to make a difference. And that's what I do with my life now. I very rarely am doing things for myself, even though it might keep me young, keep me calluses on my hands, but I'm doing it because I can. I can make a difference, something I'm passionate about.
And I hope viewers can take a lot from this, just from, hard work, dedication, and just, passion can take you a long way despite, other obstacles that may be in the way. But Ward, I appreciate you taking the time. Hopefully everything continues to go well. I hope you feel better here, even more here soon. And yeah, thanks again for taking the time.
All right, David, nice meeting you.